If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It almost feels weird to be doing this on the correct day now. We've done it for the last few weeks where we missed the actual day, but you're here. It's Thursday. You're listening to the far end of the bench because you're a loyal bench warmer, and you're telling your friends. You're just following the podcast everywhere at FEOTB Pod, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and now here we sit. For as bad as the predictions were for the round before, Nico actually nailed this one.
I know you got the final correct. I did not, but I picked FAU, so you did have San Diego State. So that looked a little bit better, prettier. But yeah, your bracket I think still did better than mine in general. So
it wasn't by much. I will say that. Jimmy Pilato, Nico Bryan here, episode 132 of the far end of the bench. We're obviously going to recap the national championship, or what was supposed to be the national championship.
Both national championships too.
Yeah, both national championships. Yep. No, I saw the controversy. That's one of the math teachers on my team at school is a basketball coach. So she's been very into making sure that not only do I know about the men's tournament, I know about the women's tournament. And LSU, Iowa, one of the weirdest beefs that we've seen for quite some time, but it played itself out on the women's floor in that tournament. And then obviously Masters coming up. If you're watching on YouTube, which everybody should, leave a like on the video, comment, subscribe. It is Masters week. I'm going to have to take a look at the field because I watched like 3 episodes of Full Swing. And
it's really good. I love it.
It's good. But I get bored. I got bored on the Scotty Scheffler.
Hey, Scotty won me a lot of money last year. That's all I'm going to say. So
he's just
I will be back with my part 2 of picks later on. You'll have to tune in because I'm hot when it comes to betting on golf. And I won $90 on the national championship covering like 4 different things. So I'm hot, boys. That's all I'm going to say. I'm hot.
I just can't get it. Like Scotty Scheffler is just like rice pudding. There's nothing to him. It's just very bland, vanilla.
He's just a good guy.
He's a very good guy, which makes for awful television. I love the Brooks Koepka episode where he's like, God, he's just the biggest bro. I feel like he should have played lacrosse instead of golf. That's what he should have been doing. He's like, oh, no, I can't. I mean, maybe I'll dye my hair because when you're the best for so long, you know what I mean? Well, you probably don't know what I mean, but you know, like you have some idea. It's ridiculous. So we'll talk all about that. And then obviously try and keep up with the NBA and NHL playoff standings and where things are. We're going to get to NFL next week. Masters takes precedent. It is the actual weekend. I know earlier on, if you've been following the show for a while, this is technically our 4th Masters because they had the one in the fall and then the 2 in the spring. So this will be our fourth Masters. We didn't have Jeremy on. We already used up enough of his time for the March Madness show, but let's start there.
Jeremy will be in attendance, by the way. Something that I will be applying for every year for the rest of my life now to get tickets. So. And he won the drawing.
We need him to come on afterwards, like recap his experience, even if it's just for 15 minutes. That's what we need to do. We can talk about that off air. Let's go back to Saturday night. Actually, do you want to go to this women's semifinal also?
Yeah, let's talk about the women's side first because I think that's where the biggest story of college basketball, the quote unquote biggest sports story of the weekend. Look, I know WrestleMania was going on, but the biggest sports story of the weekend was the women's basketball championship and the women's Final Four. And we'll get to what happened here in a minute, but what these ladies showed and this past weekend is a kudos to their playing level and how much dedication they put in, and their skill level has jumped so damn high. I'm not trying to make this sound bad at all when I say this, but the women's game was not something that normal people would watch 10, 15 years ago. Plain and simple. Like the women's basketball is not where it's at right now. Was nowhere near where it's at right now. And right now, Sunday night national championship was must-watch TV. Like it was that good of a game, that big of a storyline, and what these women did, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and company did is going to move the game so much farther than anyone can ever imagine.
if you really want to shove it to the people who say women's sports aren't as good, Caitlin Clark in this entire tournament scored more points than the entire Iowa offense for the entire season.
Football offense, yeah.
Yes, the football offense. We watched them all fall. We talked about it all fall. They can't.
Pretty sure there's more points in this
score.
tournament. Not just
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, not just the season.
The 3 games, the quarterfinals, semis, and finals, she outscored the Iowa offense for the season. It helps when you drop 40 a game.
It does.
I mean,
very much does.
She dropped something crazy in the championship, even though they lost
30 and
2,
15.
right?
It was 30 and 15. She only dropped 30, but she had 15 assists, and she also played with 4 fouls for majority of the second half.
Yeah, no, we should definitely talk about that too. I saw you going off on Twitter at FEOTB Pod. I saw the videos of how the LSU coach was behaving, and first off, like, what point do you say a coach should be penalized because they're actually taking away from like the game? I know that the contact with the referee should have been automatic. Maybe they're thinking it's heat of the moment kind of stuff. As somebody who played in a basketball game, I think it's a little bit different because I'm just not used to having coaches that close. At what point should a coach be told, hey, sit down, you're not a part of this?
They should have been told multiple times. I think the inconsistency was a problem. First of all, that's who the LSU coach is. Plain and simple. She's eccentric. She wears these outstanding outfits every single game. That's just the way she is, right? It's like dealing with, I can't think off the top of my head, but dealing with a very good coach that's just eccentric. That just happens. But the inconsistency in what was allowed and what was not allowed was the biggest problem, by far and away, the biggest problem. First of all, like I said, we can talk about Caitlin Clark and Sonona, I think was her last name. Sonona, the big woman the big girl for Iowa, who I think it was number 20 something. Both were in foul trouble. 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes. Angel Reese also MVP of the Final Four. Actually, I don't know if she's MVP. I think she was because she won. Was also had 2 fouls in the first quarter. People tuned into that game to watch these women go to work. I did not come to watch the second stringers for Iowa. I came to watch Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, plain and simple. And the referees decided that they are going to show that they're bigger than the game, right? This is one of the biggest moments. As weird as this sounds and as pitiful as this may sound, it's one of the biggest moments in women's sports history. Because of the extent of the viewership and how much the game is going to grow off of this one game and this one Final Four. Like next year's March Madness for women's game, we'll probably have to do a back challenge for that because you have Paige Buckets coming back, you have Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, you have all these incredible women also coming back for another year because the WNBA doesn't allow anyone that's not a graduate of college go to the WNBA. Weirdly enough, I know it's inconsistent, whatever. But either way, I just think it's bullcrap that they decided that they're going to make the game about themselves. No one came to watch you. Plain and simple. This is the national championship. This is 8 million viewers on ESPN. Multiple millions of viewers across social media watching the highlights of this game. This game isn't about you. You look at the men's game, right? Like every single March Madness game, the men's game, from the first round on, they mostly let the boys play. They mostly because
Tennessee took full advantage too.
Took full advantage. They let the boys play because they realized, you know what, I'm going to let these dogs fight, and I'm going to let the best dog win. Plain and simple. And look, this is no discrediting LSU's championship. They were a hell of a team. The one girl hit like 8 threes, I believe, in the championship game. They were one of the best teams, top to bottom. There's no doubt about that in the country. Well coached, well put together team. But the fact that was the main thing about the game until the end of it, main news story about the game until the end of it is pitiful for a national championship. Absolutely pitiful.
You can't see me. You can't see me.
Well, we can dive into this. First of all, people misconstrued my tweet when I tweeted about it. I have no problem with it. I love the talking shit. I love her smoking a cigar in the locker room like Joey.
That's the LSU way now.
That's just the LSU way. I loved every second of it. But Caitlin Clark dropped 30 and 15 on your head. Like this is like I And Caitlin Clark said it best. She's like, she deserved to talk shit. She absolutely does. Angel Reese deserved to talk shit, and she had all the right to. And I love it. I love that. That's where the men's game is at. You see Austin Reeves and Patrick Beverly doing the too small thing to one another every other night. Like that's just the competitiveness of it. And I love every second of the competitiveness. But the game was over. It's like 5 seconds left. The girl just dropped 30 and 15 on your head. The only person that was able to stop her the whole tournament was the referees because she had 4 fouls. I mean, like I said, it was just funny. I just think it's funny. That's all I'm going to say is that Caitlin Clark Revenge Tour will be coming. That's all I'm going to say. I think Caitlin Clark Revenge Tour will be coming. But look, Angel Reese had all the right to do what she did. She averaged a double-double in the tournament. That is unheard of, right? That is unheard of in the women's game. And what she did consistently throughout the whole tournament was something to be honed in on. And she absolutely deserves to talk all that shit. But come on now, like it's like this is the best way for me to put it. When the Warriors whooped LeBron's ass in the finals, right? In the finals after the year after they came back from 3-1 and they had KD. You didn't see Steph Curry doing the too small thing on him at the last 5 seconds of game 5 after a 4-1 win, right? You didn't see LeBron one-man team over there try to have a Herculean effort to get the team back. And you didn't see because Steph was most honed in on I am solidifying my legacy. I am solidifying myself as a champion. That's what Angel Reese could have done. But instead she decided to do what she did. Which, like I said, very important how I say this. I'm still saying it. I have no problem with. I love the shit talking, but it could have just been done better. That's all I'm gonna say.
As someone who liked to run his mouth quite a bit, which you're well aware of, I definitely can't be a hypocrite at this moment and say no, don't do anything. I think it's great. I mean,
it's great for the game. It's great
people watch. It's like WWE. People watch WWE because they want. They want to see the reaction. Half of it is the talking. I know everybody says they complain about the talking. Half of it's the talking. You need a storyline. And if you have storylines, that drives viewers. Okay. The only reason we talked about the women's tournament 2 years ago is because they put them up in some shithole in, I can't even remember where, in Florida or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was awful. That was the only reason we talked about it. It wasn't who was playing well in the tournament. It wasn't the Final Four or any of their games even matching. I bet you they could have put on CFL football and the ratings would have been fairly similar 2 years ago in this women's tournament. And now we're at the point where this is what happens. Like you have
they are
alpha
NBA.
females. Yeah, no, alpha females fighting over something that they covet and they know that they want to win. And like you said, they're going to be there to try and win multiple. So now LSU, you got a chance to try and go and take it back. Like that's the cool thing about the women's game. As out there and as crazy as March Madness is for the men's side, the women's game, you kind of get these dynasties.
Years, yeah.
You just get, you get like dynasty after dynasty. This team is dominant for however long. It was like Tennessee, UConn, maybe a little bit, LSU, South Carolina,
especially SEC, a little bit of dominant slightly, but yeah,
it's good. I think it was great, and I'm glad that we're talking about it, and I'm glad that it's worth being talked about. We didn't not talk about the women's tournament a couple years ago because we didn't care, but like I don't want to fake my way into talking. I don't want to fake my way into caring about something and fake like it's important enough to talk about on anything. Like that's
absolutely. And what these girls did this past weekend and what they've done the whole tournament has made it must watch TV, right? There's no doubting the skill level has increased the last couple of years, and no doubting how great the last couple of Final Fours has been. Heck, a friend of our show, his sister won the national championship at Stanford a couple of years ago, and we still barely talked about it. But what this is showing is the level of the women's game, not only basketball but soccer in general, has grown. Has absolutely grown, and these women deserve our praise. These women deserve our gratitude and how well they play and how skilled they are because they've done such a great job. And look, I don't know what the numbers are off the top of my head of women's sports in general and the activity of which sport is the most successful in terms of playing at the lower level up to the highest level. But I think basketball is one of the sports that is growing. Right? Obviously, soccer is number one, but basketball is coming up right as number two, along with hockey, along with softball. of being the sport that women want to play, that these great athletes are being like, yeah, I want to be like Breanna Stewart. Yeah, I want to be like Sue Bird. Yeah, I want to be like Diana Taurasi. It's great to see. It's absolutely great to see. A guy like myself that just lives and dies the game of basketball during this time of the year. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
We're going to move off of this after we're going to go talk about the men's side because I want to get to the Final Four. I actually watched a decent majority of the Final Four at my event on Saturday, but since we were talking about it, you have a guess? You want to guess? Or you want me to just tell you how many viewers the final got on Sunday, or do you know?
I do not know. I know it was one of them, but I don't know if off the top of my head. I would say
9.9 million viewers.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is the most viewed NCAA women's basketball final in television history. I'm pretty safe to say that it's probably the most viewed women's final NCAA final period.
Probably
regardless of sport.
Women's basketball game, right? I know, no offense to the WNBA, but I would take a wild guess that it is right up there with it, if not number one.
Yeah, it was great. And speaking of must-see TV, I need to talk about this FAU San Diego State game. I was texting you kind of throughout it. That was absolute madness. Like, absolute madness.
This is why we live in March. This is why we do shows a day late because of our sleep schedules and how much sports we watch. It's because of games like that.
So here's my experience. I sit down. I'm going to dinner. We were going to an awards banquet for one of the other teachers at school, and the school happened to be paying for a dinner. So we sit down. It's an Italian joint, so I'm in my comfort zone. I picked the seat right in front of the TV because I'm no dummy. If it's a work event, I don't want to have to talk and make small talk all night. We can all just sit there and look up at the screen. I sit down, and FAU, I think at that time, was up by 12. And it was about a quarter of the way into the second half. As I sit there, appetizers come out. I look up. Okay, it's an 8-point game. Plate gets set down. Oh, shit. It's a 3-point game. I have not seen San Diego State lead this game at all. Oh, my goodness, what's going to happen? And it was the end of our meal. It's 71 to 70. FAU is leading. All of a sudden, there's an inbound pass. A shot goes off. It was almost like nobody expected it from FAU's side, which in that situation, I don't know how you don't expect him to run down and shoot. Yeah. You left the door open just enough. And as good as a season, like FAU won 30 games on this season. 35 they had a Cinderella run all the way through the tournament. They put themselves in the exact right position to win it, and they just forgot to close the door.
And they forgot what month it is. That's plain simple. They forgot.
Talk about the poise you have to have as a college kid to in NRG Stadium, a place that doesn't get basketball played in a lot. And playing basketball playing basketball in the stadium is weird enough as it is. You're going to sprint down the court and take the biggest shot of your life up to that point, and it's for a championship. You make it, or not championship, to get to play for the championship. It was so epic. I wanted it to be for something. You get a trophy, but that it's the Final Four. It's like it's a participation award. It's the coolest moment that I can remember. Like, I just wish. If you know me, I wish I was in the booth. I was on the call for San Diego State at that point, because if it was the radio, I would have absolutely lost my mind. I haven't. I should have. it totally slipped. I should have gone and listened back to their radio announcer for the Aztecs, but I just can't imagine it was anything short of, this famous syllables. Oh my God, what did I just witness?
Jim Nance's Final Four as well on the call too was incredible, and the pure shock. Look, that building has hosted one of the biggest shots of college basketball history. Chris Jenkins, Villanova against North Carolina, was in that same building. I believe it was 6-7 years ago.
That was our senior year of high school.
Same building, and to have that go down, like you said, the poise. To slow the ball down, realize you could take this one-on-one. You're going to have a chance to win this with one shot is incredible for what San Diego State did. Like I said, they were an underdog in most of the games they played. I want to say 95%. Maybe they weren't an underdog against Furman, but they were underdog against majority of the teams they played this tournament. And to do that against FAU, obviously had all these wins and were leading most of the game. Like I said, when you leave a door open like that in March, things are bound to happen. Like one of the biggest what ifs in sports history, not just college basketball history, is the Gordon Hayward shot. There was a door open, and Gordon Hayward almost banked it in against Duke to win the national championship for Butler back in, I think it was 2010 or 2009, whatever it was. And we saw it right here in what San Diego State was able to do in the last minute. And like I said, it's why you watch these games. It's why you watch these games.
Here's something crazy. There are as many NCAA tournaments as I know you've watched and that they've had. That is the first buzzer beater to win in regulation. It wasn't. They've had buzzer beaters to tie and go to overtime, but that was the
Final
first.
Four. The Final Four.
Yeah, to get to the championship. It was the first
the
buzzer beater.
Because obviously there's been buzzer beaters every other round.
But they were talking about it on the show that I was listening. They're like, oh, I remember buzzer beaters. Yeah, the buzzer beaters normally, it was weird that they were only down the 1 point. You're normally down 2 to 3. You have to make the shot to even get the chance to go into overtime. No, that was, it's basically NHL playoffs. You got to score and then you got to get the hell out of there because I don't know. We stormed the field a few times. Storming the court would be something like it just makes me. I want to so badly just be back in that moment. I want to be an NCAA athlete again. I can't play basketball for anything. Can't play for shit. I have eligibility left though. And if I can get, I'll be the glue guy.
Me too.
Yeah, no, if you didn't play it, yeah, you have
NCAA. I didn't play all 4 years.
I'm just saving it. I'm going to use it in the right spot. I'm trying to be smart with it.
Grad place that wants to apply for our grad school so we can go play ball at. Let us know. We'll be.
But they need to have I need to be guaranteed that I get a run to the Final Four. Yeah. Well, no, I don't even need play. I don't want play time. I technically want to be the towel boy or the manager. I just want to be on the bench so that I could be a part of storming the court once that shot goes in. I think that's pretty much all the good things that we're going to say about San Diego State. So let's move on to what became the monster of this tournament. And I don't think that there could have been a more emphatic way for them to finish this thing off. The UConn Huskies in the Final Four beat Miami 72-59, and then take down San Diego State in the national championship 76-59. I think probably the highest margin of victory walking through the tournament for quite some time. I'm not going to say ever, but just in recent memory at least. And really, they showed that nobody was really all that close.
And look, and it's not like they didn't face anybody. They faced Gonzaga. They faced Arkansas, who knocked off the reigning champs. Like, they faced a lot of good teams on their way here. Yeah, they were the favorite, big time favorite coming into the Elite Eight with all 4 number 1 seeds out. That's plain and simple. As a 4 seed, it's weird to say, but they were the overwhelming favorite going into the Elite Eight. But it is the first time since 2019 Villanova that a team has won by double-digit points in every single round of the tournament on their way to the championship. First time since 2019 Villanova. This is not a Chris Shaken shot. It was a few years after it. And it's like I said, what Dan Hurley has done with that program with Sanogo and Jackson over the point guard, that program is just built. Like, there is zero denying the sorry, my phone's losing my mind.
That's so you. Yeah, have them move the lacrosse stick out of the way to hang up your phone.
Sorry, no, yeah, my fault. But
I was working on the webbing. I needed a good pocket.
I was checking out the stringing. No free shout outs. Roll Woods. But like I said, this UConn team is a dynasty. Plain and simple. They're a dynasty. They're the only team that has won 5 championships since 1999. Not Duke, not North Carolina, not Kentucky, not Villanova, not Kansas. The UConn Huskies. And look, they rebuild quicker than anyone, right? This team, after winning the championship with Shabazz Napier and Kevin Ollie, that program was one of the worst teams in college basketball. They moved to, I think it was the ACC, I believe so, or maybe it was Conference USA. AAC, right? They moved to the AAC. And then they come back this year, the first year back in the Big East, which I think, look, I'm biased because I love the Big East tournament more than anything. The Big East tournament is right up there with the March Madness tournament in terms of tournaments that are must watch. And the Big East continues to put out champion after champion, and going back there, dominating dominating their way through the national championship, and honestly, losing a second round matchup against Marquette in the Big East tournament, where you're like, oh, this team is not what they were at the beginning of the year. And then something clicked. It's like they needed that loss in the Big East tournament to be tested, right? Dan Hurley used that as firepower, used that as a will to move forward. And I could not commend enough what the UConn team did.
Loss. I mean, losing teaches you way more than the winning does. It shows you where you're weak and where you're vulnerable. And if you win all the time, like if you dominate, it's the curse of Gonzaga. When you dominate your conference and you have nobody except for maybe a St. Mary's team every other year that can show you your weaknesses, show you your flaws, and exploit it, you're never going to correct them because you think, oh, I'm Drew Timme. I'm going to rub my mustache and score some points. Or UConn is – they needed that. And
absolutely.
It sucks because, Raleigh's family is not happy, especially that UConn was the one that ended up winning the championship and their team got dominated in the second round. Definitely not going to be invited back now. But it was good for them, and it's Big East basketball makes sense. I wish they kind of wish they still had the Big East in football. They've split that conference into so many different ones now that they can't really even put it back together. But Big East basketball, it's synonymous. Like college sports, you think of Big East basketball. You think of SEC football, ACC baseball.
The same way you think of all what you just said. I mean, like I said, the Big East, you think of Madison Square Garden, you think of Cardiac Kemba, you think of all the different programs that have either come and go, right? The St. John's, who have not been good in a while, the Georgetowns with AI, Patrick Ewing and company. You had the Villanova dynasty of the 2010s. Now we see UConn back again, right? The Big East is the who's who. There's no Power 5 in college basketball. There's a Power 6. And that 6th team is not the Big East. It is maybe the SEC as the 6th team, as the 6th best conference. That's how. No, it's probably the ACC. The ACC fucking sucked this year.
ACC was not good this year.
In general, like you said, it's the Big East is always one of the top 2, top 3 conferences in terms of college basketball every year. And UConn getting back to the Big East showed that them getting tested and what Dan Hurley has brought to that program helped them so much in dominating their way to a national championship.
I missed the easiest one for me, Big Ten wrestling. It's like Big East basketball is Big Ten wrestling. It's a religion. That's all they think about. And even I knew Patrick Ewing played basketball in the Big East when he was in college. Overall, besides UConn, who are you most impressed with throughout the tournament? And then we'll go ahead. We're going to reveal our winner, and I'm going to try and figure out a way to reach out to you via social media. If I can't get in contact with you, then I guess you don't get your free shirt and gift card, but we will reveal our winner. But first, we're going to get the biggest surprise, most impressive surprise outside of the national champion UConn Huskies.
I think the biggest surprise has to be the level of college basketball, right? You had the top 4. You had Bama, you had Houston, you had Kansas, and you had not Marquette. Who the hell was the other 1 seed? Oh my God, I'm blanking. Oh, Purdue. All were like, yeah, these guys can win the national championship. In a year like none other, we in all seriousness, no one had any idea how this was going to end. Some people thought, yeah, UConn has a chance, right? They were good all year. But no one was like, UConn's an overwhelming favorite as a 4 seed. Not many people, whatever. Like people that picked UConn's in their national championship brackets, they were like, yeah, maybe they can do it. Maybe I'm from Connecticut. I like watching Kemba. Is Kemba still on the team 8 years later? Like, I guess I'll pick UConn, right? That's how it was. And the level of college basketball is even out. And this is why I'm so big on college football expanding to 12 teams. Even with the NIL, even with all the powerhouses of college basketball, you still have San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, and fucking UConn in the Final Four, right? Not Texas, not Florida, or not Florida, but not one of the big Florida schools. Not California or technically California. You know what I'm talking about. Small schools, not big schools in big states. And that is the greatness of college basketball because, yeah, we didn't have Duke versus North Carolina, Villanova versus fucking who the hell they played last year, whatever, Kansas. But you had 4 teams that were well coached, well put together, and that's the epitome of what college basketball has become. And like I said, there's a reason why I love this term every year, no matter how it ends out. how it ends out, even if UConn dominated their way to a national championship. I still loved every second of it, and the objectivity and the realization of this is any of these 64 teams can win, any of them. You don't think that Fairleigh Dickinson thought they could win? Yeah, right. Like when I say any, it's technically 68. Any of these 68 teams think that they can make a run, and college basketball, college football, there's probably 2 teams that think they can make a run, and 2 teams that get lucky to get in. That's why college basketball is so much far ahead than the bowl season college football. I know we both love bowl season, we do. But as what Tuesday night Outback Bowl game does not compare to the first round Furman versus Virginia game winner. It doesn't, plain and simple. And the excitement that it comes from, you have to give meaning to these games, and that's what college basketball has done. And I hope college football can eventually do.
I think we're moving towards that. I think we're in a good place. You want to give me a little drum roll so I can announce our winner of the free VSN shirt and $25 Visa gift card. Bracket name Cheap Seats Adam with a whopping 1,000 points and UConn as his national champion. Looks like A. Creason or AC Reason 89 is the name underneath it. Reach out to us. Make sure you're following all our platforms at FEOTB Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then reach out to us via DM. We'll get in contact with you, figure out where we're going to send your shirt, what size you need, and where we're sending your gift card. But that is our champion this year. Nick, I know you were disappointing with your performance, but when you have a group of 30-plus people, you have to have people that make up the bottom. I finished 28th. You were, let's see. You actually finished better than me still. You finished 15th.
That's halfway respectable, I guess.
It's
After what happened last year, look, I can't win every year. I have to spread the love.
You had 100 more points than me, and you're like 8 spots. I'm not happy about that now.
It's like golf. It's the tiebreakers. It's not 8 spots. It's one millimeter of a difference.
That I'm not happy about that. I need a better performance in one of these things. I need to win one at some point. It is my show too. Let's go to the NBA. I think it's an easy transition. Go from college to the pros. NBA. We had one new development. I don't know. You probably know more than me if we have more news stories to talk about. One thing that I'm seeing here, looking at the standings, Milwaukee clinched the best record in the league. So they are technically, if they did a full 16, if they just took the top 16, they would be the number 1 overall. Right now they sit with a 58-22 record and are 7-3 in their last 10. Boston, Philly, Cleveland, New York, Brooklyn, the same that we've been talking about last week. What does PB stand for? And then the other new thing in the East was that Atlanta, Toronto, and Chicago all clinched the play-in game. We're still looking game and a half. Game and a half decides whether Joel Embiid sees his daddy in the first round or if he gets to go the easy way and see Brooklyn in the first round. There's still a possibility.
It'd be funny if Ben Simmons was playing for Brooklyn still, but they've already shut him down for the season. So that would be add a little bit fun.
I need his life where I can just make hundreds of millions of dollars and claim that my mental space isn't working and I can't work. Just gotta
be the number one pick. Be the number 1 pick in your draft, and then not play basically because of a shooting form. Number 1 pick, I mean, you can't, and the dude cannot shoot if his life depended on it.
He has way better defense than me, but he's the epitome of how good I could be in basketball. Because everyone knows I have no shooting ability, but if I worked on it, I might be able to get decent at defense. Not as good as Ben Simmons. Don't come after me. Actually, do come after me in the comments. But I'm not saying I'd be as good as Ben Simmons. But that is legitimately the end of my usefulness on a basketball court, is only to play defense and, those 5 fouls that you get. But
that's what Ben Simmons has become, right? That's what he has become, unfortunately.
Yeah. In the East, does that surprise you that Milwaukee is running away, having such an easy time, clinched the number 1 seed in the East and basically the number 1 seed overall?
It seems Milwaukee is getting their legs back under them after winning a championship 2 years ago, right? Obviously, they had that long run where they had that tenuous year where half the games were with no fans. half the games were with fans in stadiums, and then they ended up winning the championship over the Suns. And obviously last year was a down year, losing in the first or I believe second round, whatever it was last year. And this team looks like they got their legs back, right? Drew Holiday's back, Chris Middleton's back. Their defense is just as good. And look, we just talked about college basketball, but everyone's favorite person to hate on in college basketball is the starting shooting guard for the Milwaukee Bucks and Grayson Allen. And he has stepped up defensively. Everyone still hates him, right? When the Bucks were in town here in Denver, everyone was still fuck you, Grayson Allen. It doesn't matter that we were Nuggets fans and have no allegiance to Duke or North Carolina or whatever. It is fuck Grayson Allen season, and that's the mantra he's become, right? They have Bobby Portis still. They still have Brook Lopez, who's turned out an incredible career and reinventing himself every single year. It seems like guy who's offered Defensive Player of the Year. The Bucks have all what it takes, and then obviously on the backs of one of the most gifted, and I say gifted, I mean most gifted individuals in the world. Like what you seeing Giannis in person and seeing the behemoth that he is and the way he moves is just like, what the fuck am I looking at? It's like that should not be able to move like that, plain and simple. And Giannis is why that's why he's called the Greek Freak. And this Bucks team, look, Boston is as not falling apart, but they've kind of been coasting. Philly never really had a chance at number one seed. Boston was kind of coasting and not really worrying about it as much as the Bucks were more like, we've been there. We want the number one seed. We want that home court advantage. Because Boston, as bad as it sounds, Boston knows when they go on the road, it's still 25. That minimum of 25% Boston fans will be in stadium. So home court does not matter as much to them as compared to Milwaukee.
I think that's true. Gun to your head at this point, who do you think is going to be the 6th seed? Who do you think is going to be the last spot in the play-in tournament for the East?
I mean the 7th seed will be Miami Heat. It's too far back ahead, and they've slid, and it'll be Brooklyn as the 6th seed in my opinion. And Joel Embiid will finally get past this first round again for the first time in a couple of years. So kudos to Embiid. I'll have a few things to touch on Embiid here after we talk about the Nuggets. But I look, Cleveland right now at the 4-5. That's a very dangerous matchup for anybody. Like they're going to give Milwaukee trouble, in my opinion, in the second round. They're not going to test them the best. But if Philly gets past Boston in the second round, if that ends up getting that way, I think Cleveland would have been the toughest test for the Bucks on the way to the finals, because I think the Bucks can manhandle the Sixers like they have a couple times this year already. So I do think that this is a 3-team race. I think Cleveland has a better chance of Philly to go far, and it's not because I hate Embiid. I know I'm biased over here, but I really don't trust James Harden. I don't trust Doc Rivers, and I don't trust their bench. Plain and simple. And then I trust every other team in the top 4 outside of them to make it to the finals. I would not be surprised at all if I saw the Cleveland Cavaliers in the conference finals. Yes, they'd have to take down the Bucks, but I would not be surprised.
All right, let's move over to the Western Conference. Nuggets have a 2-game lead, 52-27 record on the season. Memphis, Sacramento, Phoenix still the same. Golden State up to the 5th seed, Clippers at the 6th. Then the play-in tournament as it stands now, the Lakers, Pelicans 7-8, and the T-Wolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder, the 9-10. Oklahoma City has a half a game lead over Dallas. So
Dallas is questioning sitting Luka and Kyrie for the rest of this season. That's how far they have fallen. That's crazy to think about. And as we're recording this, the Lakers are playing the Clippers. So that and Lakers win tonight, they'll be the 6th seed. So that causes a whole other stir. Golden State possibly falls back into the play-in tournament, possibly the Clippers as well. The Lakers win out. As weird as this sounds, the Lakers win out, they'll be the 5 seed. That sounds weird. I know it sounds weird. That's how close 5 through 10 is. And if they win out, I don't think they will, but if they do win out, which this may be already wrong because they may have lost to the Clippers on Wednesday night, but if they win out, they'll be the 5 seed, and they'll face Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns in the first round.
Right as it stands now, it is early in the game, but they're down 15-3. with 8:26 left in the first quarter when we're recording this on Wednesday night. So like Nico said, by the time this hits tomorrow morning, who knows if that's going to hold true, and it is way too early. But yeah, no, I don't even think the Lakers, I know I haven't watched enough to know, but I just don't, from what I heard here, the Lakers don't deserve to be in the playoffs. They should be in the play-in game, and they should have to earn their way into the playoff tournament because I'm sick of LeBron. I will tell you straight out. I know that I'm on the opposite. Yeah. I'm on the opposite side of the argument. That's not even what I'm talking about. I just cannot stand the dude. He's gone to the point where the people that you look up to the most normally don't say a whole lot. They don't have to tell you how great they are. They don't think it's low-key. They're not low-key laughing their ass off that their son is better than half the dudes that play in the NBA. They don't make a big deal about it's the most important 23 games of my career and then sit out for 15 of those 23 games because you got a little boo-boo on your ankle and you'd rather drink wine the night before instead of actually train. And it's not because you have a receding hairline that you continue to paint on that headband. I don't even know if you wear the headband anymore. Get on Propecia, dude. You can do it. That's what I can't stand about this man.
And I get that. I don't have hate for LeBron because of what he did for my family, quote unquote, and Chris. So I will never have hate towards LeBron. That's plain and simple. But I can have all the hate in the world to the fucking Los Angeles, that organization. That is not off limits, okay? That is not at all off limits. And I could not stand the Lakers. I think look, if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, I would much rather be the 6th seed. Because plain and simple, you play the fucking Kings in the first round. I love Sacramento's story, but if there's one team,
Sacramento's got to slay some demons.
If there's the storylines of fucking 2001 all over again with the Kings.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if it'd be rival it, but like I said, they want to be the 6th seed. I wouldn't want to be the 5th seed. I wouldn't want to play Phoenix. Phoenix is 8-0 with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Lab together. Fuck, that's the team that Nuggets may have to play in the first round, right? Imagine one Hall of Famer and a multiple-time All-Star being halfway good. This West.
Devin Booker can score in a multitude of ways, ladies and gentlemen. Very versatile on and off the court.
This West is just a fucking headache. And then you have our team that just fucking loses by 21 points to the fucking Houston Rockets with a chance to fucking clinch the 1 seed. Oh, I lost my mind on Tuesday night. I'll just put it plain and simple. I don't want to touch on it because I think there's still a chance. I'm pretty sure we're locked into the 1 seed unless we lose the last 3 games. And Memphis wins the last 3 games because we have the tiebreaker over them as well.
Memphis is losing by 5 with 13 seconds left. So it looks like they're going to go down again. And that gives
us an extra
game.
I'm pretty sure that gives us a half a game lead or half a game on clinching it. Because our magic number was 1. And then we all we had to do was beat the taking for Wembanyama Houston Rockets, and we lose by 21 on the road. That's the epitome of this Denver Nuggets team. Piss poor effort. Piss poor fucking showing. Look, I said it perfectly. On Tuesday night after the Nuggets game, I watched the Avs and I watched the play trucks. Yeah, they went to overtime. But they weren't going to fuck around. They knew what was at stake. They knew that if they beat San Jose on Tuesday night, they A, clinch a playoff spot, and B, are the number 1 team in their division. And that's where they're sitting at right now. The Denver Nuggets had a chance to face one of the worst teams in basketball. They fucking go out and fuck around. This is what scares me, Jimmy. This is what being part of Nug Life does to you, because all of a sudden, if that team shows up in 2 weeks, we're fucking losing to the Pelicans in the first round with Zion returning. That's what I'm looking at right now, and I don't want that to happen. I think this team has all the makings, but this team is fucking lazy. I'm glad Malone called them out. I'm glad us media in Denver are calling them out because that was a fucking piss poor performance. And look, I still stand by Jokic being the best player in basketball, but the MVP is Embiid. Plain and simple. He dropped 52 the same night you lost the Houston Rockets. He dropped 52 against, I think it was Boston. It might have been against Milwaukee. And you lose against Houston Rockets with a chance to lock up the 1 seed. The MVP's gone. And I'm completely fine with it because there's bigger things that we need to worry about. I still think Jokic is a better player than Embiid, but Embiid has been a better player, quote unquote, this season in terms of points and winning games. So good for you. Congrats, Philadelphia. You won something this year. It's the only thing you're going to win. But the Jokic needs to get these fucking guys accountable. Thomas Bryant, the guy we traded 2 second-round picks for, is losing minutes to DeAndre Jordan in these piss poor games. That's how bad he's been. Reggie Jackson is not even in the rotation anymore. Christian Brown is dominated over. You have guys like Peyton Watson that are fucking hungry. The guy sat in the G League for a lot of games, for a majority of the season. And he comes in with his hair lit on fire and just flies around. This team has proved nothing. Nothing. You are not the Warriors. You have proved nothing. That you are right there with Memphis right now and proving nothing. And you need to go out there and prove that you're somebody in the West to be dealt with. Because right now, people are picking you to lose possibly in the first round, definitely in the second round, and not make it to Western Conference Finals as a 1 seed. If not, if you're not going to lose the first round, you're going to get swept by Phoenix again. And it's time to fucking change things, right? You have the best player in your organization's history. You have a team that's well put around him. Get your heads out of your asses and respect the game and fucking take care of business. Because if you don't take care of business, we'll be having another fucking therapy session over here in the Bryant household of why the fuck this team didn't do it again. And at least get to the finals.
As much as you would like to have the 1 seed and as much as you would like them to turn themselves around on their own, it's what we talked about with UConn losing in the tournament. You lose, you expose your weaknesses, you expose to yourself, we aren't the shit. We aren't unbeatable. We're not invincible. And you know Michael Malone. Well, I mean, I'm sure Michael Malone's been saying it for a month, but you know he's not going to let it slide. But that's the weird thing about NBA players as opposed to like NFL, NHL players. Yeah, they love the team. They want to win for the team. But the NBA players have so much power that it's hard for a coach to ride you like that unless you have guys that buy in. Like Popovich, if he didn't have his 3 studs that allowed him to dog cuss him and be a complete prick, nobody else would have stood for it.
No.
It takes a leader to be able to take that, and I want to say Jokic is that leader. Unfortunately, I think due to language barrier and him just not being a very media out there in the media person. I don't know if that is. Maybe it's Jamal Murray, but he's young. They got to have somebody that's going to look them in the eyes, and you know.
And unfortunately, right now, those 2 people are Jeff Green and DeAndre Jordan. First of all, DeAndre Jordan should never be on an NBA floor. He's lucky that he's not over there playing in China with Dwight Howard right now. And Jeff Green, I love Jeff Green. He gives me one highlight donkey but my God, he should have been out of the rotation halfway through the season because of his inactivity with Blacko getting better. Obviously, with Peyton Watson emerging, Christian Brown emerging, there's no room for Jeff Green on this bench anymore. And that's your leadership, quote unquote. And neither has that championship level of experience, right? You brought in the Avs brought in championship level experience. Plain and simple. That's what they got them over the top to settle them down when things weren't going haywire, right? Right now, there's not that in this locker room, and it fucking hurts me to say this, but I'm preparing myself for a disaster again. I really am. I'm preparing myself for another 4-1 loss to the Suns in the second round, or a 7-game series in round 1 where you fucked around and you went to 7 games with New Orleans or whoever the fuck is going to be the 8th seed or 7th seed, whoever where we are, and you're just going to run into a buzzsaw again, and it's not, and we're gonna blow past our title window, and that's just nug life for you. It's brutal.
Nico, why do you subjugate yourself to this? I know. I asked the question already knowing the answer because I did it for this team. I did it for a long time before the Bengals actually made me proud.
Once in my lifetime. If they don't win once in my lifetime, it's just gonna be very, very unfortunate. That's all I need. If they win a championship, I will die a happy man. Plain simple. I've seen the Broncos one. I've seen Avs one. I've seen multiple. I've seen multiple Broncos. Seen multiple Avs. I really don't care about the Rockies. But if I could just see one other championship in my lifetime, I'd be very happy. And I think that this group has a possibility of doing it, but remains to be seen.
Yeah, the Rockies winning a championship is a fantasy novel. That's not even close to the realm of possibility. So let's not bank anything on that. But let's switch over to the team that you just mentioned, the Colorado Avalanche, the NHL. They are close to, I think they're now down to 3 games left in the regular season. A really big one happening or just finished on Wednesday night. Calgary beats Winnipeg. That's going to put the Flames into the last wild card spot, and Winnipeg goes from possibly winning the Central to now on the verge of missing the playoffs.
Wow.
Yeah, they fell hard.
Shocking. Calgary has been rough. They have been struggling.
They fucking hate playing for Sutter just as much as LA did. I didn't realize that, but now like listening to Chicklets and listening to those guys talk, the Kings kicked Sutter out of their locker room. They wouldn't let him in the dressing room before the games. Like, yeah, you can set the lineups, but don't talk to us. Don't do anything. Like, you're gonna piss us off. You're gonna throw us out of our rhythm.
They're very old.
It's so outdated. And that's I coach. I feel like I coach pretty hard. If you ask my youth parents, they probably say I yell way too much. But I'm not a complete jackass. I'm approachable. I crack a smile every now and then.
Have fun every now and then, and it's just an even keel. And look, if Calgary squeaks in the playoffs and they play the Avs in the first round, or they play Vegas in the first round, whoever it may be, as a wild card team they'll face, he'll probably have a statement saying, "Yeah, it'll probably be a short trip for us. Right? It'll be a quick trip home. So hope the boys enjoy it." That's the attitude that you have in the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. That's the coach that in 2023 is leading a team. And look, I love Nas, but fuck that. There's a reason why. There's a reason why the Avs didn't pay him that much, and someone else did because he's not getting the production he had here. Plain and simple. And you lose Tkachuk, you lose Gaudreau, and I expected this. When we did preseason predictions, I probably had Calgary way higher than I probably should have. But you lose that many good players, and Nas is a very good player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not your number one. He is not anyone's number one. He's a good number 3, possibly a good number 2, but he's not your number one guy on your team to lead your team not necessarily lead your team, but be the guy to lean on in terms of getting points. Right now, there's a buzzsaw number 29 on this team in Denver that people can lean on to get you a point at any point, getting that past the 100-point mark as well. And right now, Calgary's trying to do that with Nas and showing that there's a reason why he was the way he was in Toronto. And there's a reason why at a 2C he didn't have any expectation here, any expectation at all, except just to come out and ball out.
Yeah, Calgary's 6-3-1 in their last 10. As it stands now, they would be playing Vegas because Vegas is way out in front of it. I don't think there's a chance we catch Vegas for number 1 overall in the West. As it ends now, we have a game in hand on both the Stars and the Wild. We all 3 have 98 points. We have more regulation wins and less overtime losses. Yeah, I think those are a couple of the tiebreakers that we hold over those two. And yeah, we did, I think, won the season series against both, went 2-1 against both those teams. So that's where it stands now. We would be playing the Seattle Kraken in their second year of existence. They scored, they have 94 points on the season. Like,
great. That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's good. That would be a fun first round matchup instead of fucking playing Dallas. We don't like Dallas over here. We don't like the Stars over here at all. But my God, you can't tell me that you'd much rather play Seattle than fucking Dallas, because I definitely would. I definitely would. I would love to light up Martin Jones. And look, I love Berkey, but that team is no offensive firepower. They're not there yet, but it's a hell of a story.
I think they could probably. Like they would give more of a fight than give more of a fight than Nashville. Yeah, win a game, possibly scare you to win 2, but not like they're not pushing you to
Dallas would probably push us to 6-7.
I would say 6. I will give them enough credit to say 6. 4. Yeah, if Landy comes back, 5.
He's skating.
If Landy comes back, 5.
He's on the road trip. He's not playing.
He's been skating for a month.
I know, but he has a contact sweater on. He has a contact sweater on, and he traveled on the road trip. It's the first road trip he's traveled on since Finland, Jimmy. Back in fucking October when they went to Finland.
It hurts me. It's hurt me all season. It's hurt me all season, and it's been a great season. There's like really nothing to complain about. I was listening to the game a little bit last night. I listened through the end of the first period when it was 2-0. I was thinking we were going to be in cruise control. Didn't turn out that way. On Tuesday night, the Avs beat the Sharks in overtime, but that's where we get to this point where they have the tiebreaker. They are the leading team in the Central, but whoever ends up in the 2-3, the 2-3 on the Central side is going to be a freaking slugfest.
I hope it's Minnesota, and I hope it's Dallas, because that is going to be a war, an all-out war.
Yeah, whoever wins that series, it's going to be tough for them to continue on.
That's why it's so important to win your division. It's so important. Yeah, you want to have the title, win your division, but the fact that you get to face Seattle in a weak Western Conference, where you are probably you are easily in the best division in your conference right now, like, to avoid those teams until at least maybe the second round, third round, possibly. Like, that's a massive, massive momentum boost. So if you don't want to play Landy in the first round, you can have him back for the second round against them, so you can coast through Seattle and possibly get to have him in the second round versus Minnesota versus Dallas.
Or Seattle's a good game for him to get back out there and get his sea legs underneath him again, because he is going to – I know that he's going to push through, and hockey players are tough, but he's going to be – I think he's going to be a little bit lethargic. He's going to have quick legs for like the first day, but that first time where he has to – it's going to be the second game. It's not the first game that you worry about, because adrenaline will take over. You can pretty much push through that initial barrier. It's getting out of bed the day after that worries me some, especially, he's getting in his advanced age. I think he might be 30 now. I think he may. 30. Yeah, they're young respectively, but he is the elder statesman of the group. I'm just really excited to see him play, because McKinnon's in God mode currently.
Mikko is also in God mode.
Mikko is. He didn't get his 50th last night, right?
He did, I think. I'm pretty sure I thought he did.
I don't think he didn't. He was going for I don't think he has 50 yet. Because when I was listening, he had a really close shot in the first period, and they were saying that it was the quest for 50, but I got it. Quick. Yeah, he's at 49. So he's at 49 goals. Mikko, 94 points. 49 goals, 94 points. So he could also possibly, it would take a couple really big games, he could possibly get to the 100-point club. But if I really want him to get that goal, because he's not going to win the Hart, he's not going to win the Ted Lindsay, because it's Connor McDavid's award this year. But that proves, if it was any other year, if we had to give this trophy to anyone else except McDavid, Mikko Rantanen's in that conversation. He's been there all season.
It's that guy's really good award, but no one really talks about him, because he's the third star on this team / fourth star on this team, right? No one talks about Mikko Rantanen. It's like how people didn't talk about Point, and how people didn't talk about fucking not Olak. What's his fucking name? The guy who left for New Jersey. Oh my God, that was on the team. Palat. Andre Palat. There you go, Andre Palat. Like, people, I knew there was an O in there somewhere, and for whatever reason they spell Andre with an O and with a J. But
Nico and I have reached married couple level where I can read his thoughts. He just has to give me a little bit.
We're way past that, buddy. We've been doing that for years. But yeah, Nico is the unsung hero of this team. It's the guy that has picked this team up, and kept this team afloat when you had Val down, you had Mac down, you had Kale down. I saw the list of injuries, the games that the Avs have missed this season. The fact this team is still in contention for technically still the 1 seed, even though it's probably not possible, is crazy. It's crazy. You have a brand new goaltender, Jimmy, that has not started more than 15 games in his career, and it's single season. Not started more than 15 games in his career in a single season. That's thrusted in to the starting role on the defending champs, and you have this many injuries, and you're possibly going to win your division, and you're quote unquote in contention for the 1 seed. Probably not going to get it though. That is such a major positive, and shows how well Bednar has coached these guys, get them into the position of believing that if you get there, anything can fucking happen, and you get your stride at the right time, like it seems like they are. Good things can happen.
They're grumpy too. Like, they're not resting on the win last season. That was one of the first times that Jared Bednar, when he came out and talked about, we were both very upset about the Minnesota performance. And he said, we got a lot of passengers on this bench, and we can't have passengers. We learned that last season. We can't have passengers on the bench if you want to go to where they want to go to. It'd be a hell of a feat to do it back to back. I think like what you were saying, if they get the 2 seed overall, you get to play Seattle in the first round. That's where you're set up. You're going to have to play Minnesota or Dallas in the second round. That's a given because you play your division before
I'd much rather have that rest, right? Like you can.
You need it. You need it.
You can do what you did last year, right? You fucking dominated Nashville. Then you go into a game that obviously you needed to get the monkey off your back. You knew it was going to be a grueling series against St. Louis, right? You knew that was going to happen. You can prepare yourself by winning winning your division by playing Seattle in the first round, where you can get back 4 or 5 games, where Dallas and Minnesota are going to have to kick the shit out of each other. Kind of how St. Louis, I'm pretty sure it was Minnesota last year. Maybe I'm wrong who they played in the first round.
It was Minnesota.
It was Minnesota where they played that 7-game series, right? You want to avoid that. You want to make life easy on you. And that's what this Avs team knows that they want to do.
Yeah, it's a very simple matter. Like you don't want to. What was the difference last year in the Western Conference Finals between Colorado and Edmonton? Edmonton was a 2 seed. They played 2 series that went 6 games. They beat Calgary in Game 6 in overtime in Calgary, and they beat LA in Game 7 in Edmonton. So they played 12 games going into the Western Conference Finals.
10. Right?
Yeah.
10. I mean, that doesn't seem like that lot, but it really is. In terms of playoff legs and everything, it's a major difference.
And that was the other thing, too. When we got to the Edmonton matchup, we're like, well, at least Draisaitl's not 100% healthy, and at least Darnell Nurse isn't 100% healthy. Like, they have McDavid still, and yeah, that's going to be tough. But McDavid having to score 7 goals in that first game or whatever he did, and the Avs still winning, that was where you were like, oh, they're so tired, they're so beat up, and we're better than them. That's just where it ended up. In the Pacific, we might as well talk about the Pacific. Vegas is the number 1. They have a 3-point lead on Edmonton. Vegas at 104, Edmonton at 101, and LA currently sits at 100 points. So they have a 6. They've all clinched their division spots.
Yeah. So LA versus Edmonton again, I think. Isn't it again?
Yeah.
Same last year. That's not a fun test for Edmonton at all.
No, it's not. And LA, because of the fact that they have Kopitar, because of the fact that they have Danault, and they still do. Now they're going to have Doughty. They didn't even have Doughty last year when they took Edmonton to 7 games. The only issue that I'm seeing with them is goaltending. That's where I'm not 100% certain, but they should be like that'll be a hell of a rematch. I think these 2-3 matchups in the Western Conference are going to be fistfights.
They're going to be 100%. Good fights. Obviously, it's not probably as highly touted as the Eastern 2-3s, but it's still going to be two good 2-3 matchups.
Well, the East is just a different level because Boston has 125 points on this season. So we're looking at the Eastern Conference now. Boston is the President's Trophy champions. Congratulations. Enjoy your second round exit. Enjoy it. It's going to be great.
It's been 10 years. Over 10 years since what's the word?
President's Trophy.
President's Trophy has won the national championship.
Stanley Cup.
Whatever. Wow, I'm fucking everywhere. Stanley Cup, yeah. I'm literally thinking about so many different sports at once. It's why March is madness, Jimmy, and we're in fucking April.
We're finally into April. We're gonna be able to sleep soon. But Boston, Toronto, Tampa, the 3 out of the Atlantic, Carolina, New Jersey, New York, 3 out of the Metro. Pittsburgh is behind New York. He's behind Florida and New York both by a point. Florida and New York have the 2 wildcard spots currently. They have 87. Pittsburgh's at 86. Those are the teams currently in the mix. But like I said, Boston, 125 points on the season. I think I saw somewhere they're going for the all-time league record, or they've passed the all-time league record.
That's
something like that. That's 2 curses. No, I know. It makes no sense because they're going to have 2 curses in a row. Because remember what happened with the Warriors when they beat the regular season record of the Bulls? They lost in the finals. And I don't even know. I don't have confidence. The more I was listening back to our episode last week, the more I listened to the other shows around, like, I don't necessarily have a ton of confidence that they're going to be able to walk through the playoffs like they have the regular season.
There's more confidence in the reigning champs and the Colorado Avalanche coming out of the West than there is the team that is on pace for one of the best regular seasons in NHL history because of who they have to go through, right? You're going to run into a second-round matchup with possibly New York. That's not fun. right? You possibly a third round matchup with Tampa Bay, who's been to 3 straight cups, or possibly Toronto Maple Leafs, who finally, I won't say it, but look like they've halfway put it together. I know.
Big Daddy Dubas put a good team together.
So I look, it's there's a bigger possibility. I would hedge more money on the Avs making the Stanley Cup final than the Boston Bruins because of who they have to go through. You could say that's bias. I know you could say that's bias for the Avs fans, but look who they have to play. If I play Seattle in the first round, I may sweat out one game. Boston, like every round is going to be war, and maybe that's going to test them better for the Cup final, which we thought would be the help for Tampa Bay. But look what happened, right? Like last year, plain and simple. So I guess it remains to be seen.
Right now, as it stands, they would play the Islanders. The Islanders in the playoffs, I think, would be a sneaky, tough matchup. I think it's a similar situation as what we were talking about with the Avs and Kraken. But then in the second round, you have to get the winner of Maple Leafs and the Lightning. And that's where you're going to start to see chinks in the armor. And then if you win that, guess who you're greeted by in the Metro? Either Florida, Carolina, New Jersey, or New York.
All very, very good teams.
All teams that I would look across and go, well, better strap our skates up a little bit tighter tonight. Let's make sure we have our helmets strapped up because this is going to – physical. This Eastern Conference reminds me of like the older days of hockey. There's not as much fighting. There's no stage fights, but it's just physical. And they slash. They're active with their stick everywhere. Like it's a full 200-foot game. I'm looking at these – looking through Boston's just record line, 60, 12, and 5 on the season, 125 points. At home, they're 31, 4, and 3. On the road, they're 29, 8, and 2. They've scored 286 goals and allowed 166 for a plus 120 differential. Oh, and they're 9-1 and 0 in their last 10. Like I could probably go pull up my PS4 and look at the NHL, my career that I'm looking at, and my Devils have probably won just about as many games and scored as many points and single-digit losses. That's ridiculous. In an 82-game season, having single-digit regulation losses on at both home and on the road. That was the difference for the Avs last year. They relished playing on the road. Being able to win outside of your barn, having 29 wins away from Boston, that's a mental edge.
That is a mental edge. It absolutely is a mental edge because it's like I said with the Celtics, right? Boston, whatever stadium, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, they walk into, there's going to be 25% Boston fans at minimum. And the Boston Bruins take that to heart, and they play fast. They play hard, and like you said, this Boston team looks very similar to the teams that won the Cup final in the 2010s. Absolutely, right? They have a two-headed monster.
Singular Cup final.
Singular Cup final. Either way, it's still a Cup final.
Oh, I'm not going to let us give Marchand any credit. He's not a multiple-time champion.
I'm pretty sure they won some in the 2000s too. I may be losing my mind. No.
No, okay. 2011 was like the end of a long drought.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong there, but either way, this Boston team still has the legs to do it.
Oh yeah, no, this team is probably better than the 2011 team, and McAvoy, top 3 defenseman in the NHL. He's not the same player as Makar, but he brings that all of the defensemen in the Eastern Conference. You're gonna lose some teeth trying to break their blue line.
Oh, yeah,
Trouba, Keandre Miller,
Brent Burns.
Brent Burns. Who were we just talking? Oh, McAvoy. Nobody's gonna give it to you easy.
War. It's gonna
and
be
then
a
Tampa,
war.
Hedman, freaking Sergachev.
Yeah, it's
Maroon.
A who's who. It's a who's who.
He's not a defenseman, but he's an enforcer.
It's big boys. It's very big boys that you just do not want to see in a dark alley or along the boards in a scrum on the rink.
All right, let's wrap this up. We'll look at the Avalanche, what they're going to finish up their season with. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games left. So yeah, I take back what I said. The 1 seed is still on the table, especially if Vegas shits the bed. San Jose, Los Angeles, Anaheim. So you got the California road trip coming up for the rest of this week into Sunday. Anaheim, Los Angeles, and Anaheim is a back-to-back. Then you got next Tuesday, home against Edmonton. Next Thursday, home against Winnipeg. And you finish up the season on the road in Nashville. That is the makeup from when the pipe burst. So that game wasn't going to be at that point, but it's when it ended up getting rescheduled to. So you got 6 games. I would say 6 winnable, very winnable games. Your toughest tests are going to be LA and Edmonton, the other 2 playoff teams
And
currently.
both
because
those 2 teams may be sitting people, right? Like
Could
they
be.
may be locked in and they'd be like, let's rest our.
But
boys, right?
they both still have a shot at the 1 seed in the East or in the Pacific too. And if they win the
They still
Pacific
do?
1
I
seed,
didn't know they did.
because Vegas has a 3-point lead, and I believe they have 5 games left. The Avs have 1 more game left than everybody. The Avs and Preds do because of that one that got canceled. They could technically, like, if they win, let's see, might as well pull up.
By that game, it may be out of reach. That's the only thing. What is that? 3 games away? 2-3 games away?
It is 3 games away. That's why I'm pulling up Edmonton's schedule to see.
So by that point, it may be out of reach, but we'll see, I guess.
They're playing Anaheim currently. That game is still in the first period. It's scoreless. Then they play San Jose, us, and then San Jose. So they could get hot. And the other one that I needed to pull up was Vegas that I haven't got to yet. Edmonton has a shot to win out. Go ahead.
And I think, look, Vegas is a question mark for me still, right? They don't have Stoner still. Is Jack Eichel is the guy to win you, get you to a Western Conference Finals? I don't know.
I've never done it before. This is
going
to be his first shot in the playoffs.
Yeah, never had playoff experience before, so that's going to be a big difference in my opinion. And you have a goaltending carousel where Johnny Quick lost you the game on Tuesday night, some bad goals in the back of the net, and you're playing a ring around the rosy. I don't know why Vegas decides that they did this with Fleury, they did this with Lanier, right? They're like, why the hell did you just not stick with one guy? Stick with the harder guy. Yeah, look. One of the things, look, the Avalanche last season could have just stuck with Frankie, right? They really could have. After what he did while Darcy was injured, they could have easily. But they said, going to playoffs, Darcy's our one. Darcy's the guy that's going to get the puck when he's healthy. And Frankie knew that too. Frankie played those games like his head was on fire because he knew he would only get his chance in very, very, very few times. And that's going to be the same exact team. That's the difference between teams that win the cup and that fall in the first or second round. You have a carousel, you're going to be in trouble. You have to. It's like having a closing pitcher, right? Like as weird as I'm giving it. It's weird. I know I'm giving a baseball analogy. Never thought that happened, but like when it was the 2000s and you knew the Yankees were in the playoffs in the 9th inning, you knew what the fuck was coming on. You knew Enter Sandman was coming on. Plain simple. There was yes, they had great other bullpen guys throughout their time, but it did not matter who the hell it was. That 9th inning, the guy was coming in, Mo was coming in. Plain simple. Look, I'm saying Jonathan Quick is Mariano Rivera here, but you gotta stick to a guy. You gotta tell a guy we believe in you, or else both guys throughout the playoffs are like, fuck, is it me tonight? I don't know. Like your warm-ups change, your mentality of game day changes. Look, being around professional athletes during the playoffs runs, like Chris knew what games he was playing during the playoffs and what games he could relax on. Because the way he fucking treated game day, he did A, have his routine down, or B, be chilling, relaxing. It's one or the other, and depending on what the matchup was and what that was going into that night. You have 2 goaltenders like that in one of the most important positions in the playoffs, that's going to cause you problems.
It is going to cause you problems, and Vegas finishes up their season. Their last 4 games is home against Los Angeles on Thursday, so tonight when you guys are listening to this. Saturday, they play Dallas. It's going to be one of those weird times where maybe we're rooting for the Golden Knights to get a win just because then it would open up the division door a little bit more for us, and they finish up with home and away against Seattle. So they're playing all playoff teams left. So they're, like you said, they're going to have to figure out what their goaltending situation is, and they're going to have to figure it out quick. But Western Conference, as bad as it is, the race is very interesting. It can go a lot of different ways currently. I'm just glad that the Avalanche seem to be holding themselves together. And I don't know if you saw McKinnon's quote from earlier today, but he's feeling dangerous even without their full lineup healthy. But like he's aware.
He's flying.
He's aware he's in the zone, and his play is pushing other people to be in the zone as well. We also still don't have Lehkonen. So Landy, Lehkonen, Manson needs to get back still. There's a lot of pieces that people are going to be like, oh, it's the Avalanche are burnt out. They're tired. What are they going to do to us? Oh, my God, is that Landeskog? Is that Lehkonen? Is that, damn it, Manson too? They got them all back.
The boys are back. The boys are coming back, and they're looking for trouble, as the song goes.
Boys are back in town. Let's get into the Masters. Talk to me about the Masters because I don't have anything prepared for them. And then I think we'll discuss whether or not we want to get into the WWE or anything like that. Maybe just the main event. But talk to me about the Masters first.
So look. There's one storyline, major storyline. Obviously, going into this, it's the first Masters with the LIV being active and the PGA being active. Last year's Masters, the LIV Golf's first tournament was 2 weeks away. It was 2 weeks after the Masters. So all the guys that were still playing at the Masters were still technically PGA guys, right? Dustin Johnson's, Brooks Koepka of the world, Phil Mickelson's of the world, all were still quote-unquote PGA guys at the Masters last year. This year, you have that massive divide, right? There's a big question because you come into a tournament where it's a bigger field, right? It's not the 54-man field, right? I'm sorry, LIV guys, but you're facing double the competition. You're adding an extra day to the tournament, right? Instead of 3, it's 4. Like instead of 54 hole, 72. Like there's some big things here, right? There's a lot of rivalries. There's a lot of bad blood. You have Brooksy taking shots at some of the other guys. You have Matt Fitzpatrick saying all those LIV guys should never be allowed to come back to the PGA. Having him come out with that PGA Tour because they left. Like the high horse, right? The high horse is coming into effect. Those deals that they signed last year are coming up, right? Brooks Koepka's quote unquote has an option to opt out, and is quote unquote thinking about coming back. He'd have to pay $200 million in fines, but things get weird, right? So you have the feels, you have the awkwardness of this tension, right? You saw it at the not the U.S. Open. What was it? I think it was the Open, not the U.S. Open, but the Open Championship, the Players Championship. Excuse me. Where Cam Smith, who left to LIV, and last year, people remember last year's Masters, him and Scotty were the last two of the final turn at 18. Right? It was Scotty and it was Cam Smith who fell apart in the last couple holes, and Scotty ended up winning. Cam Smith left for LIV. Scotty, obviously, nothing's changed in his life. As boring as man can be, I love him still, and he has nothing changed and still PGA till he dies. And he's the number one golfer in the world. And you have those two possibly paired up on a Friday setting. That could cause some problems, right? At the Players Championship, Scotty Scheffler stepped in front of Cam Smith's line. Yeah, laugh at me all you want. But when a guy is lining up a putt, you stepping in front of him, it's a punchable offense. Is all I'll say. It's a fuck you offense. As big of it's a country club fuck you. I'll remind everyone, it's not a goal like this fuck you. It's a stepping in front of the line fuck you. So that's golf etiquette for you. But you have all these storylines going into this, and right now, it seems like it could be a 4-man race. It really does.
Who are the 4? Because I have no idea.
The four, obviously Scotty. Scotty was the overwhelming favorite, being the number one, still high scalper. Another guy that I like a lot, John Rahm. Obviously Rambo. He's been sick the last couple of weeks. People don't know. He's been sick and had rough finishes. Before he got sick, dude was winning tournaments left and right. So he is back. He's ready to rumble. Then you have Rory, who everyone loves Rory. So everyone loves Rory. It's because it's fucking Rory.
It's the Irish.
It's the Irish, and he is a guy that a lot of people are going to bet on because it's the fun pick. Because everyone's like, oh, maybe it's Rory's year again, right? It feels like it's been Rory's year for a while. Plain simple. And then you get into the group of Jordan Spieth, possibly. Dustin Johnson, winner, previous winner, possibly the JTs of the world, right? All those guys are hovering right around that. Yeah, they think if they make a run, they can make a run at this.
Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson are the same person. I know that they're not, but
one's
looking
in
at
LIV,
them
one's
on
in PGA. One we like, one we don't.
I know, but when I was watching them on Full Swing and they're sitting in the private jet next to each other, I was like,
no, Jordan Spieth is the ones that are friends. So Jordan Spieth and Dustin Johnson played golf with one another their whole lives. Those are the two.
Okay, then those two. I didn't know the difference between. They could have told me that they were the other one, and I would have had no clue. I have twins in my class that I can identify easier than those two.
I commend you highly for that. Another one of the storylines going into this weekend is the weather. It is a forecast of rain that could mean for slower greens. And yes, this is the nerdiness of me. I've listened to 4 golf podcasts this week alone on trying to figure out how to bet this tournament, and I think I found my way to it. But the greens are going to be slower, and in a tournament where the greens are usually much more difficult because you miss a putt 2 feet one way, you're possibly in the water, you're possibly in the rough, right? Like you don't hit your putt nail on, you're going to be in trouble. So, and that could be a big bonus for possibly wet greens for those afternoon guys on Thursday and then Friday. So that's the news thing. Let me get to my picks for this year because I picked Scotty last year. I won. I'm very happy with me winning. I won $300. I'm not going to lie to you. I lost it all over the course of a year. So just not sugarcoating it to you all. So this is why you take golf advice and no other advice from me, right? No other advice. So I have some interesting lines that I touch on a little bit of everything because there's top U.S. players, there's top LIV players. You can pick the top LIV player to finish in the tournament, top former champions, different things like that you can do a prop bet on basically anything you fucking want. Let me dive in. So I'll save my winners till the end because I have 2 guys that I'm betting money on to win it all, and one's going to be surprising. One I think won't be as surprising. But for some of my prop bets that I like so far, Sky Scheffler, I'm not picking him to win. Hot take, right? I'm picking him to be the highest former winner. That means he has to beat Spieth, Tiger, company. I'm at plus 160 odds at a sports book to be named later because we don't have a current sports book as a sponsor. Those are the odds. I like those odds a lot. I think Scotty can finish top 3. I don't think he's going to win. Because it's very hard to go back-to-back and be the first person since 2001, 2002, Tiger Woods, to go back-to-back in the Masters. So I don't think he's going to win, but I do like him to finish as a top former winner. So give me Scotty at 1 plus 160. Another one, Jimmy, I know you're going to like this one. Bryson DeChambeau to miss the cut, plus 125. Bryson hates this course. Bryson fucking hates this course more than anything.
I just want to whack the ball far, and there's too many water. There's too much water. There's too much sand. I can't use my muscles, my all natural muscles.
He hates the course so much. I look. It is better.
He hates the course almost as much as he hates being called Brooksy.
Exactly, and look, all the spotlight is not on Bryson this week, right? No one gives a fuck about him anymore.
I didn't even know he was in the tournament.
I didn't either until I looked at the lines. I was like, holy fuck, he's still in the. He made the cut.
I thought he retired.
There's another interesting note that I will touch here in a little bit because there's some guys that will be reaching their last year of eligibility, possibly for the Masters. But I'll get to that here in a moment. Another guy to miss the cut, I think that's an interesting one. Tyrrell Hatton. He was a favorite going into the Valero Open last weekend. He's been on a little bit of a tear. He's been playing very well. He said he hates this course. like, I cannot stress enough how tough Augusta is. Augusta is not for the weak-minded. Tyrrell Hatton losing. I think he was preparing already for the Masters last weekend, the Valero. And him, if you're looking at a long shot to miss a cut, plus 275 is not bad odds for Tyrrell Hatton because, like I said, he's not played good here last couple of years. And having a bad performance last week at the Valero and these long odds, I'm taking it. I'm absolutely taking it. Next one. This is just a boost. This is a boost that I just like. I don't have any rhyme or reason to it. The app, you guys could probably figure it out on your own. I have Rory, Jordan, Cam Young, and Brooks Koepka all to make the cut. Look, Brooksy, actual Brooksy won the live tournament last week. So people were saying, look out for Brooksy. I'm like, all right, he hit the final putt in front of 150 people instead of a couple million. It's going to be a little different this weekend, is all I'm going to say. So we're amazing to see. I still think he has a good performance. I think after last year not making a cut, I think he comes back and makes a cut. Say with Rory. Rory's a big name. Obviously, Spieth knows the course very well. Cam Young, a little bit of the wild card there. That's the two that you're betting on that you may push and struggle with. But I think all four of those make the cut. Now, let me get to my two winners. I have a long shot and I have a favorite. I'll go with my long shot. I'll go with my long shot first because where he be now, right? Where he be now, give me Tony Finau. I'm going Tony Finau. Good guy, Tony Finau. Look, at plus 2,000 odds, he's been playing very well, right? He got the monkey off his back, getting that PGA Tour win last year, and I think he wants it finally. I think that it's finally a chance to possibly take a shot on him. Like I said, it's a $5 bet to win fucking $105. Okay.
I was just about to ask you. I thought he was cursed. He's not cursed anymore.
Hey. Where he be now, just get the boys from Grind City over there and dancing for him and let him go nuts with Tony Finau and let the boy get hot, okay? Let the boy get hot. So I like Tony Finau as a long shot. That's my favorite long shot. I'm not going to be taking any of the long shots. And then, like I said, my winner, I'm going with the Rambino. Give me Jon Rahm. Like I said, Jon Rahm was playing some of the best golf before he got sick a couple weeks back. And Jon Rahm, I think, is it's very hard for someone to repeat in Scotty, or else I'd pick Scotty. But Jon Rahm at plus 850 odds, I love it. I really, really love it. And I think he has all the possibilities of running it again. Or not running it again, but winning a big championship. And I think it's his time. You could say that he's one of the most decorated champions. Obviously, with all the PGA Tour championships, all the non-Masters non-Masters major championships, it's time for him to get that green jacket because I think he'll solidify himself as a champion eventually. So give me Jon Rahm as my winner.
It's funny that Jon Rahm has come full circle now because if people have listened to the show for a while, he was the first time that I got duped. And it was when he was warming up for the Masters a couple of years ago and he did the one where he skipped it across the water. Yep. And I was trying to be impressive to Jeremy. I was like, I've been watching so far, and he Jon Rahm got one in the hole through the water. He goes, that was a practice.
It was a par 3. It was a par 3 course on Tuesday. They did that on Tuesday. Yeah, someone sunk it. Someone sunk it on Tuesday too. I don't know who it was, but I think it was Scotty.
And then they said everybody tries to do that on that hole. I thought this was the first time. I thought it was a miracle. I thought I witnessed golf Jesus. Nope, everybody does it. That's just something everybody can do. Oh, cool. So I'll go sit in the corner again. That's okay, guys. I'll tag in eventually.
But yeah, I will be the degenerate. I will be watching. I'll have it all on Thursday. Obviously, Good Friday. I'm sorry to my family, but during the day, I'll do all the other. I'll go to church. I'll do all that stuff. But the Masters will be on, and same thing with Easter Sunday. I hope everyone has a great Good Friday and Easter Sunday to those who celebrate. But I will be watching the Masters from Thursday to Sunday.
All right. Did you bet, since you are the degenerate gambler, did you bet on the WrestleMania final? Did you know that you were able to bet on the WrestleMania final?
I know I could, but why the fuck would I ever do that? I'm a degenerate, but also I'm not going to – newsflash, I'm not going to bet on something that's fucking prefixed. Or
you didn't have to bet the winner.
I know I didn't have
props. You got to bet the props.
That's not worth it to me still.
Who's going to go for the first pinfall? Over under 7 pinfall attempts. Is there going to be interference? There was a ton of interference. So let's.
There was interference. All right, Jimmy. I'll tell you where it came from. It came from fucking the villain with the ugly ass mustache and eyebrows. That's where the interference came from. But we'll touch that here in a little bit. I don't know if you know about that story, but there's some other big WWE news that came out on Monday after WrestleMania.
No, I didn't see that, but I enjoyed this main event. I felt like I was 12 years old again. Yeah, and my brother was very upset because my brother watches Cody Rhodes wrestle in a white weight belt with American Nightmare that he painted on the back of it. If you watched our Bull Pick'em show, you've seen the belt. And yeah, that was probably a pretty devastating way for that pay-per-view to end for him. But I was interested. I wanted to see. It's more like the behind the business stuff now that I'm interested in. But Cody being probably he's the biggest face of the company right now. He's pretty much carrying the mantle that John Cena had for a while. Reigns is the champion, but Cody Rhodes is now the number one good guy. And he's a hell of an in-ring performer now. I don't remember him being that good when he was there initially, but he had the people invested like a lot. His entrance, the pop that you get, the way he was able to change, like you heard the crowd shift emotions 3 or 4 different times back and forth, like, oh my God. Oh. And when he's doing
out of the stadium, the air got sucked out of the stadium when he lost.
86,000 people silent.
It was sucked. It was the same. I'm not going to say the same exact feeling, but very close to the Brock Lesnar defeating The Undertaker and breaking the streak. Like that was the quietest a building of 100, however many thousand people there were there, and I think it was in Dallas. I don't know, maybe it wasn't Dallas. Wherever
that
it was.
That was in Superdome.
Superdome, whatever. That losing that quiet, that big of a stadium, that quiet, that will never happen again. But it definitely, you could hear a pin drop until the music hit for Roman Reigns. That's how shocking that was.
Brock Lesnar has come out and said it and Paul Heyman, like when that match ended against The Undertaker, it was not just, it sounded quiet. It was stunned silence. And it wasn't on the same level, but just the story that they told was awesome. The fact that they're able to continue to hold my attention, and they held a lot of people's attention. People are going to laugh at us for talking about this. 160,000 people went to this event live. And however many more people, like the two of us, used our Peacock subscriptions and watched 4 hours of WrestleMania. I know you didn't watch all 4 hours, but there are guys out there that watched 4 hours of WrestleMania Saturday and then turned around and watched 4 hours of WrestleMania on Sunday too. And not all of it was good. No. The Lesnar match sucked on Sunday. I didn't necessarily care for the Cena match. That one was just fucking. That was like when we watched Sting wrestle The Undertaker the year that you came over to my house, and we were like, "This sounded cool, but this should have been like 10 years earlier because John Cena with a bald spot is not John Cena, and Austin Theory sucks. I just can't get behind.
Who again? Who, Jimmy? Who?
Yeah, A-Town down.
Ooh.
Bro, but did you see that they made him walk out first? The champion had the first entrance against Cena.
I would have kicked off WrestleMania with the John Cena's music. I thought that was also a mistake. Like talk about fucking kicking off WrestleMania, fucking Cena's music, and that gets the people going. I'm sorry, it does. So I think that was a mistake. But yeah, talk about mistakes. A huge deal happened Monday night. Huge, or not Monday night, Monday middle of the day. The people who own the UFC, Jimmy, now own the WWE. Yep, you heard that right. The same company that currently has the owning rights to the UFC currently owns the WWE. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but WWE has sold its share to a stakeholder. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I'm sorry. You can probably look it up.
I'm getting it. I'm looking it up.
And, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at Vince McMahon right now, the dude painted his eyebrows worse than a fucking college sorority girl going to her formal. Like, the dude has the evil eyebrows that go like that, just up. Not this, up. And has a mustache. Look, this is a mustache, ladies and gentlemen. That's a good-looking mustache. He has a mustache that was hand-drawn by his makeup artist. It is hideous. And, ladies and gentlemen, he's back. He's back running creative. And people are not happy about it. Look, for whatever reason, before the national championship, men's national championship on Monday, I threw on Monday Night Raw. Because the Monday after WrestleMania is supposed to be the returns, it's supposed to be the what the fuck do you call it? The introduction, the brand new people coming back from injury, the new signings playing into play. And instead, I got Brock Lesnar fucking F5 and Cody Rhodes and the main event that didn't even go on.
And whooping the shit out of them, too.
And we got mid matches. Mid. I kid you not. I stopped watching for the basketball game, but I saw the viewer count, and it was the biggest drop off a Monday Night Raw has had in I think over 10 years. It was that bad. And if Vince McMahon is back in creative, there's going to be some problems. There's going to be people leaving. Guys like Jay White. I know I'm pulling names out of my ass right now, but I watched Indies wrestling somehow a little bit. Left for AEW, a guy that was apparently WWE bound, supposed to come Monday Night Raw, didn't come. Randy Orton didn't come save Cody Rhodes. You threw this dumb story in with Brock Lesnar for no fucking reason that no one asked for, that no one cares about.
Oh, if I get that again against Roman Reigns, I'm gonna be pissed
because no one cares anymore. It's look. There's a reason why I watch it 2 nights a year. It's WrestleMania, it's Royal Rumble, and the rest of it, I give a little bit of a fuck, but it's very memorable anymore.
Yeah, I like SummerSlam too, but that's also a rough memory because the first SummerSlam that I ever watched was when John Cena got German suplex 16 times. I was like, what the hell are we doing? Why am I watching this?
Jimmy, that was how long ago? 15 years ago? 10 years ago?
It wasn't 10.
Jimmy, they're still doing the same shit, right? Suplex City is still the main storyline in the WWE. And here we are 10 years, 50 years later. Think about that.
It's not. It's 8. It's 9.
Either way.
But that's the crazy thing about this. That year you guys came over for the WrestleMania party, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When we watched, Rollins cash in and Lesnar almost
that was not peak, but that was very good wrestling.
It was good.
This right now, I'm just like, that's cool.
This right now has a couple good stories. Like I like the Usos story, and I like
a great story.
Cody Rhodes' story, but
I like Cody Rhodes' story, but in the end, they're just gonna fuck everyone and just give whatever makes them money, quote unquote. And right now, Roman Reigns, for whatever reason, makes them money. They think.
He's the biggest heel. He's better as a heel than he was a face. They were trying to push him as the new John Cena, and now he's just like he is good. That match was really good. He's better than he used to be, but I don't know. We do have a couple WWE podcasts here on the Variety Sports Network that everyone should check out, and if they're listening, I'm more than willing to come on. And I've talked about wrestling on multiple different podcasts. I was on our former wrestling show that we had on our old network. That was a little bit interesting. I was talking TNA, but I'm more than happy to come on, talk WWE, AEW, old WWE. I was more of a Ruthless Aggression era kid. I know you were too. Wasn't necessarily the Attitude Era, but it is still, it'll never go away. I don't know what it is. I can watch, if I'm bored and if it's not football season on a Monday night, I'm probably watching at least a port, like 10 minutes.
If there's not basketball or hockey or some other sport on, there's probably a chance that I browse through the channel and maybe I'll watch that tonight. I'll think about it.
I just sometimes I watch it to see how dumb it is because the dialogue sometimes you're like,
come on,
how the fuck did that come out of your lips?
How the fuck did I ever like this?
Oh, did you see Rey Mysterio belted his son on national television? What did you think of that one? That was
that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, thank you for coming to the part of the match where.
All right. Yeah.
I'm joking, but yeah, cool for Ray, I guess. I don't know. I don't get wrestling storylines anymore, Jimmy. It's my.
That was a continuation from our childhood.
I know you're not my father anymore. That's the storyline we've come to, I guess.
Well, that was do you remember? Did you watch when Eddie and Ray had the match for custody rights of him when he was young? That was the trippy part for me because now he looks like Eddie Guerrero, but Eddie Guerrero was my homie. That was my guy for a long time, and I don't know. It was strange. Snoop Dogg being there also. Shane McMahon blew his knee. Shane McMahon blew his fucking knee out. I guess it runs on my bingo card that I didn't think would ever happen again. I'll take Shane McMahon blowing out his knee on WrestleMania and them having to switch to Snoop Dogg clocking the Miz
and not being in the match and then knocking out the Miz, which should have been a disqualification, quote unquote, and then also should have been a why the hell did you let him pin him? But that's just the mark that I am, I guess.
Yeah, it's
Shout out
it's all
Snoop, though, I guess. Shout out Snoop for letting the show go on.
Snoop is living his good life. That is one
always
thing that
have.
we all know for
Always
certain.
have.
Yeah. That's going to bring us to the end of episode 132. Thank you guys for listening, watching, whatever you guys are listening on. Please make sure you're followed. If you're followed, unfollow and refollow. Tell your friends. Check us out every Thursday here, both on our feed and on the Variety Sports Network at Variety_Sports_. Check out their YouTube channel as well. We're going to get some of the network shows going back up again. I'm sure we'll do live playoff reactions when it gets to NBA and NHL playoffs. So I'm gearing up mentally. Right around the corner. 6 games left for the Avalanche before we're talking about playoff hockey.
And as we're recording this, Memphis lost. Nuggets are the number 1 seed. God bless. That's all. I don't play anyone. Actually, maybe play them just to kick on the ass. But the Nuggets are the 1 seed, so we fucking did it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Joe, we did it.
Oh
my God, Joe, we did it.
We got
Call the fucking ambulance, Joe. We did it.
Call an ambulance, but not for me. All right, we gotta get some sleep. Enjoy your Thursday. Have a good weekend, everyone. Thank you guys for listening to episode 132 of the Far End of the Bench at FEOTB Pod. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host Nico Bryant, we will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.